Every picture of the solar system you've ever seen is a lie. Not a small lie either, a massive, galaxy-sized lie that's been sitting in your textbooks, on your classroom posters, and in your head since you were a kid. Here's the truth. If the sun were the size of this basketball, Earth would be a peppercorn. And that peppercorn wouldn't be sitting next to the ball. It would be over there, about 30 meters away. Jupiter? The length of a football field. Neptune? You'd need a bicycle. The real solar system is mostly empty space. Staggering, lonely, unimaginable amounts of nothing. And once you see it at true scale, everything you thought you knew starts to feel a little off. So let's fix that.
In the next 18 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through our entire solar system, from the sun all the way out to the frozen edge, and by the end, you'll understand it better than 99% of people walking around on this planet right now. Along the way, I'm going to show you the planet where it literally rains diamonds, the moon that might, right now as you're watching this, be hiding alien life, and the real reason Pluto got kicked out of the Planet Club. It's pettier than you think. Whether this is the first time you've thought about the solar system since middle school, or you're the kind of person who already knows what a Lagrange point is, stick with me. I promise you'll learn something new. Let's start at the center.
Here's a number that will reframe everything you're about to see. The sun holds 99.8% of all the mass in the solar system. Let that sink in. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid, comet, dwarf planet, chunk of ice, grain of dust, everything that isn't the sun adds up to 0.2%. Earth, with its oceans and mountains and 8 billion people and everything we've ever built and everyone who's ever lived, is a rounding error. The solar system isn't really a collection of planets with a star in the middle. It's a star with some crumbs. And those crumbs are only here because of the sun's gravity. It's holding everything in orbit, including us, with a grip so strong that Earth is moving around it at 107,000 kilometers per hour. Right now, you, sitting there watching this, are hurtling through space faster than any bullet ever fired.
The sun itself is a giant ball of plasma, mostly hydrogen, fusing 600 million tons of it into helium every single second. That fusion is where sunlight comes from. The light hitting your skin on a summer afternoon started its journey in the sun's core about 100,000 years ago, bounced around trying to escape, and then took 8 more minutes to reach your face. Now, those crumbs the sun is holding onto, they split into 2 very different neighborhoods, and the inner one is where we live.
The first 4 planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are the rocky ones. Small, dense, made of metal and stone. They're the runts of the solar system, but they're also the most interesting, because one of them is us.
Mercury is the smallest planet and the closest to the sun. And it has one of the weirdest quirks in the entire solar system. A single day on Mercury is longer than its year. Listen to that again. A day on Mercury lasts about 176 Earth days. A year, one full trip around the sun, takes only 88. Which means if you lived on Mercury, you'd celebrate your birthday twice before the sun finished rising. Mercury is also a place of absurd extremes. The side facing the sun hits 430 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. The side facing away drops to minus 180. You could stand with one foot frying and the other freezing.
Next up is Venus, and if Mercury is extreme, Venus is actively hostile. For a long time, astronomers thought Venus might be Earth's twin, roughly the same size, roughly the same mass, right next door. Maybe there were jungles under the clouds. The surface of Venus is 465 degrees, hotter than Mercury, even though it's farther from the sun. The atmosphere is 90 times thicker than Earth's, crushing anything that lands there within hours. The clouds are made of sulfuric acid, and it rains, but the rain evaporates before it ever touches the ground because the surface is that hot. Venus is what Earth could have been, a cautionary tale 40 million kilometers away.
And then there's us, the weirdo. Earth is the only place in the known universe where water exists in all three states at once, solid, liquid, and gas, at the same temperature. You have ice, oceans, and clouds, all coexisting. That sounds mundane because you've lived with it your whole life. It's not. It's astonishingly rare. Earth also has a giant iron core spinning inside it, generating a magnetic field that deflects solar radiation and lets the atmosphere stick around. Without that field, the solar wind would have stripped our air away billions of years ago, which is exactly what happened to Mars.
Mars, the red planet. Currently cold, dry, and mostly dead, but it wasn't always. Billions of years ago, Mars had rivers, lakes, possibly an ocean covering a third of its surface. Then it lost its magnetic field, its atmosphere drifted off into space, and it froze. What it left behind is spectacular. Mars has the tallest mountain in the entire solar system, Olympus Mons, 3 times the height of Everest, so wide that if you were standing on it, the slope would be so gentle you wouldn't even realize you were on a mountain. It also has a canyon, Valles Marineris, that would stretch across the entire United States. And past Mars, the neighborhood changes dramatically.
After Mars, we cross the asteroid belt. You've probably seen this in movies, spaceships dodging giant rocks, barely squeezing through. That's a lie too. The asteroid belt is so spread out that if you flew a spacecraft through it, you probably wouldn't see a single asteroid with the naked eye. It's less a minefield and more a rumor. But on the other side of it, everything gets weird.
Jupiter is so big, you could fit every other planet in the solar system inside it, twice. It's so massive that technically, Jupiter doesn't orbit the Sun. The Sun and Jupiter both orbit a point slightly outside the Sun's surface. Jupiter is the only planet heavy enough to yank the Sun around. And then there's the Great Red Spot. That swirling patch you can see on Jupiter's surface is a storm bigger than the entire Earth. And it's been raging continuously for at least 350 years. We know this because we've been watching it through telescopes since the 1600s, and it was already there when we started looking. Think about that. A storm older than every country on Earth, older than calculus, older than modern science itself, just spinning and spinning and spinning. Jupiter also has 95 known moons. One of them, Ganymede, is bigger than the planet Mercury, but the really interesting one, we'll get to that.
Saturn, the show-off, the postcard planet. Those rings are made almost entirely of water ice, trillions of chunks, ranging from specks of dust to boulders the size of houses, all orbiting the planet in a disk so thin that if you shrunk Saturn down to the size of a basketball, the rings would be thinner than a razor blade. And here's a fact that will break your brain. Saturn is less dense than water. If you could find a bathtub big enough, Saturn would float. The whole planet, a gas giant 95 times the mass of Earth, technically buoyant.
Uranus is where the solar system starts to feel like it's running out of ideas. It's a blue-green ball of gas, relatively featureless, except for one thing. It's sideways. Every other planet rotates more or less upright, like a spinning top. Uranus is tipped over at 98 degrees, rolling around the sun on its side like a beach ball someone knocked over. The leading theory is that early in its history, Uranus got hit hard by another planet-sized object, and the collision knocked it over permanently. Which means on Uranus, The seasons are extreme. Each pole gets 42 years of continuous sunlight, followed by 42 years of total darkness.
And finally, Neptune, the last of the big ones. Neptune is the windiest place in the solar system. Its atmosphere has supersonic winds that blow at 2,000 kilometers per hour, 5 times stronger than the strongest hurricane ever recorded on Earth. We still don't fully understand how. Neptune is so far from the sun that it shouldn't have enough energy to drive winds that fast. It does anyway. And now, remember that promise at the start about the planet where it rains diamonds? It's this one. Deep inside Neptune, the pressure is so extreme that carbon atoms in the atmosphere get squeezed into solid diamond. These diamonds then sink through the planet's layers like hail, a slow, steady rainfall of gemstones, deep in the dark where no one will ever see them. The same thing happens on Uranus. There could be oceans of diamonds down there, floating on layers of liquid metallic hydrogen. Actual, real, literal diamond rain. And that is a real story about our actual solar system.
Past Neptune, the sun becomes just another star in the sky. It's so far away that a human standing on Pluto would see it as a bright dot, giving off about as much light as a full moon on Earth. This is the Kuiper belt, a second asteroid belt, but way bigger and way colder, made of ice and rock left over from the formation of the solar system. And this is where Pluto lives.
Okay, Pluto. Let's settle this. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union officially demoted Pluto from planet to dwarf planet. People were upset. Some people are still upset. There are actual protests, but the reason is simpler than you've probably been told. To be a planet, 3 things have to be true. 1, you have to orbit the sun. 2, you have to be round. 3, and this is the one Pluto fails, you have to have cleared your orbital neighborhood, meaning your gravity is strong enough that you've swept up or kicked out most of the other stuff in your orbit. Pluto hasn't. It's sharing its orbit with thousands of other icy objects in the Kuiper belt. It's one of the big ones, sure, but it's not the one. Here's the kicker. If Earth were in Pluto's orbit, even Earth wouldn't be able to clear it. The neighborhood out there is just too crowded, and the gravity is too weak that far from the sun. So it's not really Pluto's fault. It's a real estate problem.
But the Kuiper belt isn't the edge, not even close. Way, way out beyond it, like thousands of times farther than Pluto, is something called the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of icy objects, possibly trillions of them, completely surrounding our entire solar system like a bubble. The Oort cloud is so far out that light from the sun takes over a year to reach its outer edge. To put that in perspective, the light reaching Earth from the sun takes 8 minutes. The light reaching the outer Oort cloud takes more than a year. The solar system is huge, way bigger than the neat little diagrams make it look. And every now and then, something out there gets bumped, a passing star, a gravitational nudge, and an icy chunk comes falling inward toward the sun. Millions of years later, it arrives in our inner solar system. Its ice starts vaporizing, and we see it streaking across the night sky. We call those comets.
Okay, I've saved the best for last. When we look for life in the solar system, not little green men, but any life at all, even a single bacterium, we used to focus on Mars. The idea was, rocky planet, reasonable temperatures, maybe there was life once. But in the last few decades, the search has quietly moved. It's moved outward to a place almost no one saw coming. This is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. On the surface, Europa looks like a cracked eggshell, a ball of ice crisscrossed with reddish-brown lines. It's cold. The surface temperature is around -170 degrees Celsius. Nothing could live up there. But underneath that ice is an ocean, a liquid saltwater ocean,
kept warm by the gravitational tug of Jupiter flexing Europa's interior like a stress ball. That ocean is maybe 100 kilometers deep, meaning Europa, this tiny moon you could fit inside the continental United States, contains more liquid water than every ocean on Earth combined, possibly twice as much. Liquid water, heat, organic chemistry, salt, every ingredient we think life needs, right there, sealed under the ice, probably for billions of years. We don't know if anything is alive in that ocean, but we're going to find out. NASA's Europa Clipper mission launched in 2024 and is on its way there right now. And Europa isn't the only one. Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons, is even smaller. And every few seconds, it shoots huge geysers of water directly into space. When the Cassini spacecraft flew through those geysers, it found salt, organic molecules, hydrogen, the kind produced by hydrothermal vents on the floor of Earth's oceans, where some scientists believe life on Earth may have started. So when people ask, are we alone in the solar system? The honest answer is, we don't know yet. But there are at least two places where, right now, conditions might be right. And we're building the missions to go find out.
So let's pull back one more time. The solar system, as big as it is, as strange as it is, with its diamond rain and ancient storms, and oceans hidden under ice, is one tiny dot in our galaxy. The Milky Way contains somewhere around 100 to 400 billion stars. Most of them probably have planets. Some of those planets are almost certainly in the right spot for liquid water. And our galaxy is one of about 2 trillion in the observable universe. It's easy to feel small when you hear numbers like that, but I'd flip it around. We live on a peppercorn, orbiting a basketball, drifting through an almost empty ocean of space. And somehow, on this peppercorn, a species of upright apes figured out where the planets are, mapped the storms of Jupiter, sent a spacecraft to fly through the geysers of a moon around Saturn, photographed the diamond raining blue marble at the edge of our own star system. We are tiny, but we are paying attention. And that's not nothing.
If you made it this far, you now know more about the solar system than most people will learn in their entire lives, which is wild because we've barely scratched the surface. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And if you want me to go deeper on any planet, let me know in the comments which one. The weirdest one wins the next deep dive. I'll see you in the next video.